Howdy folks, today I'm going to be talking about a pretty amazing rum from Oaxaca, Mexico. It's called Paranubes. We're going to taste it, we'll make a daiquiri or two. Let's do it. Okay, Paranubes is a very interesting rum. It's a fresh pressed sugarcane rum from Oaxaca, Mexico. Oaxaca, of course, is famous for mezcal, but there are a number of really good rum producers there as well. Apparently, and I wasn't aware of this until recently, but I guess Mexico used to have a big sugar production sort of industry, but that's no longer the case, I guess. But there is still a lot of sugarcane growing in Mexico. Go check out my other Mexican rum video. I'll link it up here for more information about some of these other Mexican rums, which are very exciting. Now, Paranubes is made in the northern part of Oaxaca, near the border with Puebla, in sort of a lush mountainous region, by a fella named Jose Luis Carrera. Now this fellow, Jose Luis, is a farmer. He grows 4 kinds of coffee, a number of fruits, and 4 different types of sugarcane. I feel like people don't really think about this, but there are different varieties of sugarcane, just like there's different varieties of wheat or rye or whatever, and the different varieties of sugarcane are gonna, I assume, produce different qualities of spirit. Now, one of the very interesting things about Paranubes is how it's fermented. And it's worth noting that the way something is fermented can have a huge impact on what the final spirit tastes like. Jose Luis doesn't empty his entire fermentation tank each time he makes a batch. He's got an 1,100 liter fermentation tank made out of pine. When it's time to distill, he will empty half of it into the still, and then he'll refill fresh pressed cane juice back into the fermentation tank. So he's getting this sort of constant rolling fermentation where the new stuff is inoculated by the old stuff, and it's just sort of constantly going. So he only actually empties the whole vat every 4 months, which is kind of wild. Also, it's all wild fermentation, which he jump starts by putting a piece of mesquite into the fermentation tank. So he's got a 550 liter still. It's a copper column still with 8 plates, and it's heated by a fire which he keeps going by burning the spent sugarcane husks after they've been juiced. If you remember the video I did about a month ago about Rivers Antoine, that's similar to what they do. It's all wood fired, and as I pointed out then, it's not a very precise method. It's got no gauges or thermometers or anything. This guy is just skilled. Also, he doesn't dilute the rum at all, so it's distilled to proof, which is a whole nother difficulty. The stuff we get here is at 54% alcohol. It comes in a 1 liter bottle, and it costs about $55. So it's not the cheapest rum, but it is all handmade. Oh, I'd also like to note that the Paranubes brand apparently seems to be also owned by Vago. So the Vago and Paranubes websites are sort of linked together. I believe the Vago people own this Paranubes brand and just decided to, buy rum from this guy and send it up to America. So good for them. Vago is an excellent mezcal. So let's just give it a taste and see what we think. Now, the first thing you'll notice as soon as you open the bottle is that it's got this incredible aroma. I want to say it's funky, but it's not really that sort of rotten fruit kind of funky that you associate with like Jamaican rums. It's sort of more of a like savory, salty kind of olive aroma. It's a little hard to put your finger on, but it is, one thing for sure, very strong. All right, let's give it a taste. It is very intensely flavored. It's not grassy exactly, but it's sort of salty, like olive brine, kind of like almost like a vinegar flavor. It's got a little bit of like a dry, musty kind of barnyard feel to it. It's unbelievable, is what it is. Let me just think about the finish real quick. It's pretty strong. It doesn't really have a harsh burn to it, but it has a pretty short finish. I'd say the main thing about Paranubes is it's got a very strong aroma. It's got a lot of upfront flavors at the beginning of the sip, but it doesn't last. It's not like a lingering long finish. So keep that in mind if you're making a cocktail with it, which is really a good use for it. It's something that you want to give some flavor up front because you've got other things in your drink that are lengthening out and, you know, hitting you in the back of the palate. Now, I know when we do a rum review, it's everyone wants to know what it's like in a daiquiri. So I'm going to go ahead and make a daiquiri with this. I'll make one that's pure Paranubes, but because I know that it's probably not a rum that you use as the main star, but as more of a supporting role, I'm going to make a second one that uses Real McCoy 3, and we'll just put a ½ ounce of Paranubes in to sort of funk it up a little. So let's do that now. We got 2 daiquiris. I'm going to start with what I'm assuming is going to be the less intense one, the less wild one. 1.5 ounces of Real McCoy 3 and just ½ ounce of Paranubes. Just because, you know, like I said, you usually want it as a supporting role. So let's give this a try. Here we go. First daiquiri of the day. First of all, a daiquiri is amazing. Real McCoy 3 doesn't get in the way of, of other flavors. It's very, it's good rum. It's very supportive. In this daiquiri, the Paranubes is coming through as if it were like a funky Jamaican one. Like that brininess that I was talking about, just a little bit of that at the back end. Let's try the other one. Let's try the one that's full Paranubes daiquiri. That is, yeah, that's pretty fun. Right, so that's pretty intense, but it's a little one-dimensional, I think, is the problem. It doesn't have a lot of those other sort of rounder, fruitier flavors that you get from sort of a standard rum. And it's fun at first. The up front is pretty wild and intense, but it fades pretty quickly. So I'm gonna say Paranubes is delicious, obviously, but does play more of a supporting role for like that upfront aroma and sort of a hit of like funkiness, but the entire daiquiri out of Paranubes is not as good as a blend. Let's go back to the blend and make sure. Yeah, this is much more like what I would want a daiquiri to be. That being said, Paranubes is a great addition to a daiquiri or another drink, a more complicated drink, a tiki drink, just any drink that needs a little zazz of something up front. Well, cool. I hope that was fun or informative. Go check out my other Mexican rum video for even more information about Mexican rums, which I'm currently becoming obsessed with. And yeah, thanks for watching. We will see you next time.